So, Charlie, let's stay on Nick Saban because what's being formed right now, uh, there's a lot of interest in, and that's the SEC schedule format going forward once Oklahoma and Texas join in 2024. And of course, this is important stuff because programs want to protect whatever their interests are, whether that's rivalries, protecting rivalries, whether that's creating the softest schedule they can possibly get and maneuvering for that, whatever their agenda is, this is going to take hold and it's going to be what that particular program is going to have to face year in, year out for the foreseeable future, for decades probably. So it's funny that Brian Kelly comes out while the conference is seriously considering going to 9 games. And that makes sense. You bring on 2 other teams, you get 16, you only have 8 games. You're not playing 8 other teams or 7 other teams in the conference. It becomes difficult to really justify a champion. So most likely they go to 9 games. Brian Kelly makes the statement, and he was upfront to say, okay, the conference designated for us. And now see what the deal is. From what I understand, the conference has sent each school, here are our suggested 3 for you. Now we want you guys to vet it out, review it, and then, get back to us. The athletic directors are having a meeting sometime in April or May. And then they expect by the time the conference coaches and everyone convenes in Destin late May, that they'll be able to pull it together and everyone will have a consensus on what the schedule format will look like in those permanent opponents. So Brian Kelly said they gave us Bama, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss, and I'm good with it. Said, I came here to play the best. It's fine with me. We're good with that. Nick Saban, they get, what's funny is his statement here, and it's in the ESPN article from a few days ago. I've always been an advocate for playing more conference games, but if you play more games, I think you have to get the 3 fixed opponents right. They're going to give us Tennessee, Auburn, LSU. I don't know how they came up with that decision. Well, you're Alabama, so you play Tennessee. This is a nationally known rivalry, mid-October, the whole deal. That's Auburn. It's the Iron Bowl, like 2 of them, obviously. And then LSU and Alabama over the last couple of decades has been a premier ratings getter and attraction in college football. So Saban makes the comment, I don't know where they came up with these teams.
Well, that's absolutely absurd. Of course, that's where they came up with them. It's your biggest rivals. I mean, yeah, because even with that LSU one, it's a little bit of the odd man out there, but that rivalry in the last 15 years has been absolutely incredible, to the point where even in Brian Kelly's first year, they beat Alabama. Like, it's that competitive.
Very few teams have that obvious of 3.
Yes, exactly. That's so ridiculous. Because Tennessee, there's been a lot of talk. Because the one that Ross Dellinger put out, I think around that whole conversation, Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, his 3 for Tennessee were Alabama, Vandy, and South Carolina, which would make sense. I think a lot of Tennessee fans were probably thinking it'd be Kentucky. It is the closest school to us. It's actually, I think, by mileage closer than Vandy even. Might be wrong about that, but it's honestly, in terms of sports overall, a bigger rivalry than Vandy in general, except they're just in the same state as us. And the thing just with that is, like, that's, I'm sure Alabama fans would love to see us get Alabama, Georgia, and I don't know, Texas A&M every year or something like that, but that's not going to happen. That's that makes no sense geologically, makes no sense geographically. And I guess Tennessee has gotten lucky just because the SEC East has been down in recent years, and those are the teams that naturally fall into those slots. I mean, you're pulling up a Georgia fan here that's in the comments. I mean, does anyone benefit more from a fluffy schedule in the SEC than Georgia at the moment? Should they not get saddled with some, like, their schedule next year is so easy. It's honestly unbelievable. I mean, the toughest game on their entire schedule is Tennessee. And so, like, I don't know. It's tough. I want to say, can we stack it where those teams that are at the top of the conference right now get the hardest set anyway? But at the same time, you can't really do that because of the ebb and flow of college football. You know, Alabama's Nick Saban's eventually gonna retire. Obviously, Tennessee can be up and down and all over the place. Nick Saban's complaining about Tennessee right now because he lost to them this year. But if Josh Heupel leaves for Oklahoma at some point or something like that, you know, who knows where Tennessee will be at in 5 years. So I personally, obviously, I love that draw because I don't think Shane Beamer long-term will be great at South Carolina. And Vandy, of course, is probably always going to stink. So I'm happy with that as far as Tennessee is concerned. But Nick Saban, yeah, could there be really more obvious, a more obvious choice for the three teams that you're going to play than Alabama's? That's pretty funny. But I mean, classic Saban. He's just a complainer, isn't he?